Hey guys, Hens here. We have the developer update for the upcoming PTB and the July 2025 update. This is going to be the PTB, which is presumably going to be this week if this update released. So this is going to be the changes for this map chapter, which is a new item, the fog vial. We are also going to have some killer changes, and I think some of the quality of life updates should be in here, so let's see. So the first new survival item, the fog vial, added a new equipable item for survivors, the fog vial. The effects include using a fog vial causes the fog cloud to expand outward from the point where it was used, dissipating after set time. Scratch marks do not spawn within the fog vial, and audio is muffled for anyone within the fog vial. The hours of players within a fog vial cannot be read by other players. So there's quite a lot of effects. This is similar to the one that we saw in the 2v8, I think, right? And the fog vial has a cooldown which recharges over time. The fog vial specializes in creating confusion and break line of sight. When it's activated, the fog obscures your surroundings while still allowing for limited visibility within your immediate vicinity. By moving to a single recharge use, survivors can use the fog vial multiple times per trial and don't have to be quite so precise about saving charges. Let them be more in the moment with their vial uses. So one thing that is hinted here at is the difference between this version and the 2v8 version is this does not block as much line of sight. So yes, juking a killer is going to be a little bit harder than the version, but this is only the PTB, and if the players don't like it, then I'm sure this can get changed, which I would probably imagine it will, to be perfectly honest. So it is only the PTB. Survivor items keys are getting changed. Change item charges to refer to individual use of item rather than the overall time it can be used for. Adjusted the uses for this item to cover the following. Channel the key to consume 1 charge and real survivor hours for a limited time. When near closed hatch, consume 1 charge to unlock it. Consume 1 charge to quickly unlock a chest and gain an item of rarity or higher. Nice. So keys can unlock chests now, and you get better items. Once the chest has been unlocked with the key, it is revealed to nearby survivors. Can be rummaged in by one other survivor to gain an additional item of rare or higher quality. That's cool. So keys can give you better items out of chests. Nice. Okay, I like it. So keys are gonna have a little bit more use, and base kit, a key can reveal the hours of other survivors. That is really cool. So 3 different uses instead of 1. Keys have kind of like, they used to be the strongest item in the game. Now they were kind of like, I mean, a little bit useless compared to the other ones. So it's nice that they see some love. And yeah, keys stood out as the least used survival item and were typically outclassed by other options. We've reworked them to offer a wider range of utility and tap into players yearning for higher rarity items. I feel like plundering chests is like not that relevant anymore. You get so many items out of the blood web. I feel like the majority of players who play the event, you get so much of the best rarity items. So I feel like looting chests in itself is a little bit outdated. Back when I started playing, there was a lot more rarity to it and there was more point. I actually loved like building item collections from chests, but nowadays I feel like nobody does that anymore. So yeah, now the charge system is easier to track and the hour reading capabilities of the keys are improved. You see, I don't think there was a range, so maybe there's no range at all, while also adding a team-wide utility, in addition to making it easier for the equipped player to get quality items from chests. That's pretty cool. Okay, so you can use a key, see your teammates, and then at the end, you unlock a chest for other high rarity item. Survivor item update maps. Change item charges to refer to individual uses of the item, rather than overall time. Channel the map to consume 1 charge and reveal nearby pallets and vault areas to yourself for a limited time. Oh, alright, so maps are like windows of opportunity, I guess, on with limited charges. While hours are revealed, press the use button again to create a beam of light, only visible to survivors, revealing the hours of generators within the beam range to all survivors. Wow, that's interesting info for the team that can be really useful on stuff like indoor maps, where teammates are oftentimes looking for generators and you have no way to communicating where they actually are, even if you have stuff like deja vu. So that's going to be quite useful. Adjusted several items and individual item rarities. Similar to keys, maps stood out as an underutilized item, which didn't fit into beginner or experienced players' kits. With this change, maps retain the spirit of giving players an awareness of their surrounding, making their effect more consistent and extending some value to teammates. Not bad, so tracking is completely gone. This means a little bit less blood points. Definitely better though. Preset improvements. Increase a total number of character customization presets to 7. Alright, fair. I don't think... Bro, does anyone actually use this? Alright, fair. I'm sure someone does, but I just do my fit on the fly. So, yeah. Keyboard and mouse on consoles. Added mouse and keyboard support for the following console platforms. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S. Nice. Very nice. So, keyboard, if you want to use some of these techniques that are on mouse only, like pyramid head flicking, then now I guess you can do it. I wonder how many people are actually gonna pull out a keyboard and a mouse, because I feel like it's more convenient to play on a controller. But yeah, definitely very good for killer. If you play killer on these, might be worth it to get into. Custom match improvements. Added hotkey inputs to custom game spectating to switch to the killer's perspective. Added spectators hotkeys representation next to the killer's portrait to improve usability. Added the option to toggle spectator hotkeys visibility and adjust them in the input binding menu. Added a visual indicator to show spectators who they are viewing. Nice, shows dead survivors icons if joining as a spectator after getting sacrificed. Cool. So custom game improvements, this is gonna make spectating easier. Very good for showcases, very good for tournaments. Kudos. Oh, there we go. The spicy stuff. The Executioner medium update. Increased punishment of damn range. The range add-ons were a necessity. Playing without them felt really bad because you couldn't zone properly. And yeah, they have been made base kit. So we don't have the numbers. We will need to wait for the PDB batch notes, but having more range base kit is already really good. Increase the duration of Rites of Judgment's trail drawing and trail lifetime. Alright, so these are 2 more add-ons that are presumably gonna go base kit. So more duration on the trail drawing, so you can zone a little bit better, but trade-off. Decreased Rites of Judgment's movement speed. Zoning was insanely strong on Pyramid Head. You can't make this too low, however, because that way it's too easy to gain distance. But this will give survivors a little bit more chance to maybe juke a little bit more and not get caught off guard, because he's slower while having a sword down. So that's a nerf to zoning. Added haste and endurance effect to survivors saved from a cage. So the cages, this one is probably going to be a controversial one. The cages led to some pretty boring gameplay, I have to say, because the teleport away mechanic effectively never worked. You could camp outside of the range. If anyone goes for the unhook animation, you can kill the survivor out of the cage instantly. That led to pretty boring gameplay, and hopefully the buffs up here make up for this nerf, but it is definitely enough to what kind of defined Pyramid Head. So we'll need to see how this works out, but I'm gonna be honest, if the chase gets buffed enough, then I think this might be fine. But definitely a big nerf. But at the same time, for game health, it was a boring playstyle, so I am not too against it. Added input buffering to transition from punishment of the damned to Rites of Judgment. Begin caging or killing a survivor when the prompt is available. Sure, not bad. Reworked his add-ons. Well, we don't have a list of add-ons, but that's probably going to be the make or break it point. How useful are these new add-ons? And is this going to make up for the loss of not being able to instantly tunnel out someone out of a cage? So yeah, I think camping a cage is still going to be insane, just like a hook. Like, he's just really good at doing that. But getting haste and endurance is pretty sad. One thing I have to say, if they get haste and endurance, I'm a little bit sad that you don't get the access to the unhook perks, like pop, like those kind of things. So would have been cool, but I guess this is not part of it. We've heard your feedback that the Executioner's add-ons could use more variety. Range shouldn't feel like the only viable option. In addition to making range increase base kit, we've reworked his add-ons to introduce more interesting options. I'm very hyped for this. I've seen part of it, and yeah, I think there will be some good stuff, some good variety. I think the add-on reworks that have come out recently were all very, very good, and actually a little bit more on point and more like actually gave the killers options. So I really, really like that. So heads up to that. And next up, the clown. All right, so what did the clown get? Another medium update. Increased movement speed while reloading bottle. Decreased bottle reloading time. Adjusted the effects of yellow bottles. An increased haste effect. Increased the distance and speed that smoke spreads to. And increased activation speed. So that is huge buffs to yellow bottles. So we have more movement speed while reloading. We have less reloading time. So reloading is probably not going to be much of an issue anymore. And yellow bottles have more haste, they activate sooner. So that's a huge buff. And now adjusted effects of purple bottles. Decrease the hindered effect. Decrease how long the hindered effect lingers after leaving the smoke. So hindered is getting nerfed. And yellow bottles are getting buffed. This could be a serious buff because reloading is not going to be much of an issue. And you can probably do it on the fly with those changes. Yellow bottles let you outplay pallets more consistently. And honestly, I feel like if you're really good at clown, then I feel like the yellows are the ones that do a lot of the heavy lifting to outplay pallets. So interesting changes. We'll need to see how it works out on the PDB. And also added input buffering to charging a bottle throw and reloading bottles. Several add-ons also has been adjusted. When it comes to the clown's power, his purples see much more use than his yellows. Once across skill levels. To better incentivize their use, we've given the yellow bottles a quick activation, greater speed boost, and wider effective range. Coupled with some base speed increase to compensate, purple balls have received a slight nerf, requiring a little bit more throw control to get their full value. Alright, we need to see, especially with add-ons being adjusted, did they nerf Flask? Did they nerf the hindered duration on purple balls? Did they nerf the meta add-ons? What do we have now? So we'll need to see this. But yeah, this is almost certainly going to be a buff. So yeah, clown mains on the rise. The Knight. Minor update. Increased maximum patrol path length. Increased path drawing speed, acceleration, and strafe speed. The Carnifex standard spawn slower. The Assassins and Jailer standard spawn quicker. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit easier to get the standard. Added input buffering to drawing a control path. Okay. Adjusted call to arms add-on. Cool. Drawing patrol paths is an important part of the Knight's gameplay. We've made it feel snappier and extended its range slightly, making call to arms partially base kit. That is really good because this add-on felt like a necessity to me. I know some Knight mains think it's not, but for me as a casual, not running that add-on made it way harder. We've also adjusted spawn times for each guard. So the patrol path felt a little bit awkward to draw, especially on mouse. It's so easy to get stuck. So hopefully that's going to help make it feel a little better. We need to test this out. This is the PTB, of course. So yeah, but this is also wrapping up to be a buff. We have the pig with the medium update. Increased crouch speed, movement speed, increased speed of crouching and uncrouching. Okay, that's quite significant. Increase the speed at which the terrorist fades when crouching. Increased ambush movement speed. Okay, so pig is eating good. I'm seeing a lot of buffs. But we also have several add-ons adjusted, so let's see what that is. Added input buffering to crouching and charging ambush attack. Input buffering will make all of these abilities feel smoother, by the way, because you can always press the key and you have zero delay. That's super good. It makes the killers feel so much better. Input buffer everything at all times. Yes, we know we buffed the pig. Outrageous. How could you? Outside of her traps, her ability to surprise suppliers is an important part of her appeal. By increasing her speed and making her terrorists fade quicker while sneaking, she have more chances to act on unprepared survivors. Alright, let's see. But chase pigs are eating good with this patch, apparently. Park updates. Cool. So these are interesting killer changes. So we have overall every killer's... Alright, so Executioner we need to see, but I think this will probably end up being a buff in most cases. We need to see though, because if you want to cage and tunnel someone out, then you might have a little bit of trouble. But I think for the game health's sake, I think it might not be the worst idea. Hopefully his chase buffs are significant enough to make him feel good to play, because that's what I like about this killer. I kind of enjoy him, but it's not really about like tunneling once in a while. I find that pretty boring, I'll be honest. So, but sometimes it feels like you have to play efficient because he just doesn't have much going. He only has his chase. Clown seems pretty decent. Knight big buffs. Pig. Chase Pig is real and it can hurt you. And now we have park updates. Survivor parks. So I think we only have a list of parks, so this is a little bit of a sneak peek. Any means necessary. Appraisal. Okay. Better together. I mean, that park is really underused. I mean, any means not bad. Appraisal, more need to see. Could maybe buff it. Better together. It's a little bit of an underutilized park. Build to last. Okay. Not the worst park. Deja Vu. That's a really strong park. Let's see what happens. Detectives. Potential energy. Yeah, potential energy is definitely underpowered. One of the weakest parks. Has such a cool animation too. But yeah, it's totally underpowered. So I can see that that's gonna get buffed. Updated. Still sight. Yeah, that park is also useless. You just need it. It needs to kick in way faster, to be honest, to ever be useful. Reworked Streetwise. Alright, cool. We adjusted values of a few parks that had a low pick rate to help buff them up. In addition, we've adjusted parks that affected items to make sure they're compatible with the updates survivor item changes. Okay. Stay tuned for the patch notes. Killer parks. Alright, we have Killer Parks 2 updated Dragon's Grip. Not the worst park. Franklin's Demise. Hubris. Insidious. Okay, some of them are pretty bad. Overwhelming Presence reworked. Updated Hangman's Trick. So Dragon's Grip is pretty decent. Franklin's can be decent. Hubris, a little bit underwhelming. You need to build around it. Insidious is a meme park, but can be good. Definitely buff material though. I can see both of them getting their duration increased. That's not bad. Reworked Overwhelming Presence. Okay, and Hangman's Trick is pretty useless. Cool. Until next time. Well, this is the developer update. Exciting stuff in this one. We'll need to see how this ramps up. PTB is probably this week, guys. Watch out for that and let me know what you think about this. Curious about your opinion. Try to keep in mind this is only the PTB. Things can change, okay? Don't freak out yet. I know you will, but you don't have to. And I'll see you next time. See ya. Bye-bye.